So first version, me showing you how to cut a model out of card. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the plywood. So with the plywood I showed you how to measure and mark out where the halving joints are going to go. That was when we looked at the halving joint, so that the two would slot together. I'm not going to add any other features to it at the moment. I'm just simply going to show you how to do that. You will need a phone. You will need a phone because there's a couple of dimensions that you need to work out. Now these are just thin pieces of card. I don't know if you got those at home or not, just a thin piece. If you haven't got a thin piece of card, then what you may be able to do is fold up some paper to make it thicker, and if you've got Pritt stick the layers together just to make a thicker piece of paper. I'm going to use a pencil and a ruler for measuring out, and I'm going to use a pair of scissors for cutting. The pieces of card I've cut out are 150 millimeters wide by 75 millimeters wide, which would have been the size of the plywood you would have got if you were at school. If your design is slightly bigger, you will need to do it slightly bigger. When the two are slotted together, you've got one piece that's going to sit against the table, and the other piece is going to be the bit that supports the phone. So the first decision you need to make for your design is how much that's going to stick out to support the phone. The second decision is then how far down this bit's going to go to get it to stand on the table. So how much is going to stick out to stand it on the table. Now, it's a bit difficult with my camera like this, but the further out you stick to support the phone at the front, the less you have sticking out at the back. So the further back it's going to stick and tip over, and again the longer bit that you have sticking out at the bottom against the table, the further up that comes, the further back this will come, and the less, so if that's the leg that sticks on the table, the higher this comes, the less you have at the top to support the phone, and eventually it'll get short and your phone will just keep tipping off. For most of the ones I've done in school, to support the phone, I've found that 15 millimeters is long enough, and when I do the base, anywhere between 30 and 40, so if I do 35 millimeters. Okay. Now, if I start with a 35 one, so I need to measure back 35 millimeters. And I want to draw that line all the way across. If you've got a set square, you can put it against the edge of the card and use it to draw your line across. If you haven't got a set square, this line needs to be perpendicular to this edge going on. If you haven't got a set square, use a 35 at one side, 35 at the other side, make 2 marks, and then you can use the ruler to draw between the 2 lines. And I'm drawing fairly faintly just because I don't want this showing up too much. And because it's a halving joint, remember we are only cutting halfway across. Half of 75 is 37.5, so 35 and 2.5 is 37.5. There is my line. And for this thin card, all I'm going to do is take my pair of scissors and just cut halfway across. So I've gone halfway across. For the other piece, I'm going to measure 15. I'm going to find it easier, I think, to measure twice. So set my ruler at 15, make a mark. Set my ruler at 15 at the other side, make a mark, and then I can draw a line between the two. And again, halfway across there, half of 75, half of 70 is 35, half of 5 is 2.5. So actually I've got that on my other side. So then I've got 35 and 2.5 is there. And again, I'm going to take my pair of scissors and just use the scissors to cut halfway across. And then if I've done that well, I can simply slide one piece across to the other, and there is my model. Now the advantage of the thin card is it's very easy to cut. It's very easy to use. Pencil represents the table. So if the pencil represents the table, then there's the leg sticking out, there's the support, and my phone would fit on like that. So the advantage is it's very quick to cut out, very easy to cut out, but of course you can't use it realistically because it will just collapse. If you are thinking of cutting holes out of the front, then it's probably easier with the thin card because it's easier to cut out like that. If you've got another piece of card, you can soon add dimensions, add extra features.